There are websites that show Utah's air quality on a daily basis. And the fact of the matter is, we're very fortunate. We have some of the best air quality in the country about 10 months of the year. And unfortunately, during the inversions, we have some of the very worst air quality in the country. And I'm not making that up. And to ask one other question, you guys had a half an hour, but to answer a previous question, 57% of all of our pollution in air in Utah comes from the cars that we all drive. 57%. Another 32% comes from office buildings, and 11% comes from industry like Stericycle and chemical and the refineries.
Where does the data come from? Can I clear up what you just said?
I can show you.
What you're saying is not fact.
You had a half an hour, and I had 30 seconds.
We're taking questions and answers. I'd be happy to answer any of yours. That figure, 57% due to vehicles and X number and 11% due to industry, is a very skewed figure. For one, it's only talking about our inversion circumstance, not the rest of the year. Two, it's also taking into account multiple counties. So if you look at all the industry in multiple counties, when the industry is focused here, then you have a skewed fraction, which in fact, what that statistic that he just quoted is created by. The other thing is, that sort of statistic is not addressing the issue of HAPs, which is the acronym for hazardous air pollutants. The EPA designates 188 compounds as the most toxic compounds in air pollution. And in fact, they are considered, quote, hazardous because at very small concentrations, they have very large health effects. Almost all of our major industrial polluters produce HAPs. But the point about Stericycle is this small facility is producing as much HAPs as the big refineries. They are producing as much mercury and lead as a huge coal-fired power plant right in your neighborhood. So they share a disproportionate responsibility for the most serious health consequences of air pollution, which are related to dioxins and heavy metals. Recall the CDC, the federal government has said, there is no safe level of lead to be exposed to. Every product that comes from China that has a minute fraction of lead in it is recalled. This facility is putting 130 pounds of lead into your neighborhood every year. 60 pounds of mercury into your neighborhood every year. A ton of hydrogen fluoride, 1,200 tons of hydrogen fluoride into your neighborhood every year. So the issue isn't just overall air pollution. The issue is extremely toxic air pollution from this facility that doesn't need to operate in the first place because all of this waste can be handled in a safer manner and is elsewhere.
Amen.
So based on what he just said, I think we're missing the whole point. Who cares if they're in compliance? That's apparently compliance. The question is, how do we shut them down? We don't want them in compliance, we want them gone.
In the back.
Senator Weiler, you said you're on our slide?
Absolutely,
You also
100%.
said that 57% pollution comes from cars, 33% from office buildings. Dr. Moench explained that that was skewed. I'd like for the two of you to get together, and then when you believe what he says, for you to stop quoting what the legislature
No,
says.
I'm quoting statistics from the Department of Environmental Quality for the state of Utah's website. Dr. Moench, who I respect, is an activist, and at every single meeting, have anything to do with air quality, whether it's refineries or UTA or Stericycle, he's there with his agenda, and I respect that. He has a proper place in that. But the statistics I gave to you, I'll have Alicia send out the link. I'm not making those up.
I believe I've been personally affected by that incinerator.
Yes.
My wife had complications with her pregnancy, where the doctor said, I've never seen anything like this. My child was born with defects. So when people come up here and say, don't attack them, or first let me say thank you to my councilmen that are here, because last time we were here, this neighborhood hasn't smelled so good since. You know, and that's the truth. But when I hear of the impacts that it has on other mothers, there's so many children within our community, I really look at all of those who have taken the responsibility to be our, you know, to be our representatives, right? To take responsibility. I don't care if it doesn't get passed, you know, from that stance. What I care is the responsibility that you take when you go up there to this legislature and say, hey guys, this is impacting all of us. This is a passionate issue. This is impacting families.
Listen, I represent 93,000 people in South Davis County. You are my only priority. That's why I don't take corporate money. That's why I don't take special interest money. If you want me to run a bill, I'll run it. I'm telling you right now, I don't think it'll pass, but I'll run it. I'll stick my neck out. I'll do everything I can. But I'm not going to come here and give you a bunch of false promises and false hope. That's not who I am.
Why do you think it passes?
Because we have a very business-friendly state legislature. And regulations are perceived as anti-business.
Okay, Dr. Moench wanted to speak for a second.
Can I say one thing?
I wanted to clear up a little bit of the, I think, is mischaracterization of this is Dr. Moench versus the DEQ. There are 300 members of the Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment. I'd like all the members to stand up right now. Every one of these physicians does not have to be here, but every one of these physicians hears the same story that this gentleman just said to this audience, and that's why they're here, is because we see in our practices the human faces behind this decision to not clean up this community. We see them in our offices. We feel a powerful moral obligation to try and change that.